One of the most powerful superheroes in the DC universe is Batman, and maybe he's the strongest. But sadly, as all superheroes, his first year wasn't so good. At first, he couldn't find the symbol he needs to plant fear in criminals, so he was just jumping from roof to another, got beaten up a lot, and sometimes he nearly got himself killed. I know he's always at the verge of death, but in his first year, despite luck, he probably would have died from a rookie mistake and got the Dumbest Death Year award. So, how did he manage to find his symbol and plant fear? How did he become the Batman we know? And the most important thing is, what are the mistakes he did? To avoid them at first if you want to become a superhero. Well, stick around to find out. But before we begin, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell. Gotham was living in a dystopian year. The criminals were in every street, every corner. Most and maybe all of the cops either receives bribes and happily take or taking part in the criminal action. At the first scene, we see Bruce coming back to Gotham after 13 years of traveling, and as we know, he spent most of them in training, and he came back to clean the city from all this. In the same day Bruce came back, it was the first day of Detective Gordon in the city. As soon as he put his foot inside Gotham, he knew it's not a place to raise a boy, and he asks himself how his pregnant wife is gonna fit in all of this. He meets his next partner, Detective Flash, who welcomes him in the city and told him it's not as bad as it looks, but apparently he's a bad cop. Alfred, as usual, was taking care of the house, and he was really happy when he sees Master Bruce after all these years. Meanwhile, Flash was showing Gordon the city, and he still doesn't know it's corrupted to the bones. Suddenly, Flash stepped out of a car and headed to a boy and started beating him with no reason at all. Gordon barely managed to hold himself from doing anything. Then we see Bruce pay his respects to his parents, and after 12 years, the ache is still fresh. But it's not about healing, and he's not looking for closure. February 12. Flash was chasing a car, and instead of catching the criminals, he crashed their car, and before he stepped down to finish them off, he tried asking Gordon if he can count on him or not. But Gordon didn't answer, cause maybe he's the only good cop in that city. Meanwhile, Bruce was still training, and he knows he's not ready. He got the motive, the means, and the skills, but something is missing, and he has to wait. After a few days, Flash was telling Commissioner Loeb about Gordon, and he doesn't fit in, cause he's a good cop and stuff. And he wasn't happy about it, cause he had high hopes for Gordon. Then we see Gordon heading to his car, and some criminals show up. They beat him till he passed out, and it turns out one of them is Flash. Meanwhile, Bruce still can't figure what's missing, but he decided to do what he wants. But till then, his identity must be a secret. He went to a hooker area and got into a fight with a pimp, and suddenly, one of the girls stabbed him in the leg, so he pushed her away, and that made Selena, who was watching what's happening, very angry, and she stepped in to fight him till the cop showed up, shot him in the shoulder, and he passed out. He woke up in their car and attacked them from behind, so the car crashed. He saved them and went back to his house. Meanwhile, Gordon decided to take his revenge, so he went to Flash, and yes, he knows it's him, cause Flash threatened him with his wife. Gordon decided to make Flash defend himself, but he beat the hell out of him, and strangely, that was pretty satisfying. Bruce was wounded, bleeding to death, and he was talking to a statue of his father, asking for a sign to plant fear in their hearts. Suddenly, a bat breaks in from the window and stood on the statue, under the light of the moon, with a broken window, shattered glass, and a bat screaming. That's the only sign he needed. April 4. Gordon was in his car hearing a news about a criminal taking children hostages, and Brandon taking the lead. He knew right away it's gonna be a massacre, so he headed to the site as fast as he can, and he managed to save all of them. And his photo with the children was in every newspaper, and he was a hero, and that didn't make the Commissioner Loeb happy. April 9. Gordon got a call about a giant bat jumping over the roof, and that was the first time Bruce uses the Batman. He stopped the robbery from happening, but he's a rookie who could have died but pure luck. May 15. Gordon introduced Detective Essen, who's gonna help them catch the bat. They know little about him. Like he works in the night, and he's focused on the east area, and apparently, not even the cops escape from him. Ask Flash about it, he knows. He starts telling them about what he did, and how he's not human, and everyone was laughing at him. After a few days, we see a dinner for all the gang leaders, and the biggest of them all, who looks like Vito Corleone from The Godfather. Anyway, his name was Falcone. Batman breaks in, turned off the light, and threatened all of them, and told them, no one is safe. And in June 5, Batman attacked Falcone in his house, stole his car, and threw it in the river. Again, little unlike The Godfather with the horse scene. Meanwhile, Gordon and Essen were investigating the suspects who could be Batman. They went to Harvey Dent, but he had an alibi, and she told him about Bruce Wayne. He decided to talk to him. He sees a car with a passed-out driver, so he went after it and tried to stop the car, but an old woman showed up in the middle of the road. But luckily, Batman saved her. The cops showed up, and they started to chase him. He got surrounded in an abandoned building, and the cops set the building on fire. And after the fire went down, Brandon and his team got in and started looking for the Batman. Eventually, he used a device which took him weeks to find the right way for it, and after a few minutes, the whole building was full of bats. Hundreds and maybe thousands of bats. And that made it easy for him to fly. After a few days, Gordon and Essen continued their investigation and got close to each other and eventually got busy. September 2, he wouldn't cheat on his wife anymore, so Essen decided to move to another town. Meanwhile, there was a witness who saw Flash in a crime scene, and if he talks, Flash and Commissioner Loeb will go to prison. But of course, he's been bribed. So Batman went after him and threatened him to testify and hand Flash to the cops. When Commissioner Loeb knew Gordon was going to fly Flash to LA, he threatened him to tell his wife about his affair with Essen. So after a few days, they went to the doctor. He decided to take his wife with him to meet Bruce Wayne. And after they left, he decided to tell her about his affair. Of course, there have been so many tries to kill the witness, but he got out alive, and Gordon went to Commissioner Loeb and told him he's still gonna testify. October 12. Gordon became a father to a baby boy named James. Falcone was with his nephew to discuss business, and Batman was eavesdropping, but suddenly, Catwoman breaks in to steal Falcone, and she messed it all up. And while he's in the hospital, he told his nephew to get Gordon, but how? He told him through his son. Late in the night, he got a call from work to come ASAP. But as soon as he got out of the building, he sees a strange man getting in, so he knew right away what's happening, and he went back. He heard the baby crying and found some men taking his wife and son. He starts shooting, and Falcone's nephew took James and ran away, while Gordon finishing the rest of his men. Suddenly, a man on a motorcycle appears, so Gordon shot him, took the bike, and went after his son. The bike driver was still alive, and Gordon's wife took a gun and threatened him, but he told her if she wants to see her son again, she has to let him go after them. And that, of course, was Bruce. She let him go, and he starts chasing them, and Gordon catch Falcone's nephew on a bridge, and they got into a fight. He was holding the baby, and both of them fall from the bridge, and James is gonna die, but Bruce shows up and saved him. Luckily, Gordon is nearly blind without his glasses. He thanks the hero and told him to get out of here before the cops arrive. After that, Flash went to court and he testified against Commissioner Loeb, who in turn sacrificed Brandon. And now the city sees Gordon as their hero. December 3, Gordon was working on his marriage, and now he sees that this city still has hope, and there is someone threatening to poison the source of water, but he knows the perfect man for the job, the Batman. And that's when the movie ends. If you liked the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell. Thanks for watching. See you soon, and goodbye.